We're back.
That's a love footy.
Sit back and enjoy it. Here we go again.
Let's get it on.
Ready to go. The footy is here.
Tedesco on the inside.
Talk about excitement.
I love speed.
For the win. He got it.
Yes, he's quite an entertainer off the field.
Here they come. Oh, they're going to score here.
Man. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've seen all year. Crazy game.
Yes, g'day and welcome to Freddy and the Eighth, ahead of round 18 of the National Rugby League. Brad Fittler, Andrew Johns here and ready to go. Hey, boys.
What about that bloke's guts?
Just everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Fat shaming.
I don't know,
Like
but he's just got heaps of guts.
It's good to watch.
What?
Good to watch.
I'd
See,
love to see him dance.
Get the fans back.
It's like that guy that is at the sports bet where he's doing
Yes.
The runner.
Yeah, the brother. It's
his
just
belly button's that round. Put a coffee cup in it.
just jiggling everywhere.
It's hypnotic when it moves. You just sit there and
Gets me
stare.
quite excited, actually.
It's like a big waterbed. Let's get into it. We've got some.
Did you have a waterbed?
No, my cousin did though, and when I go to visit him, I just jump in it and thought it was the coolest
Go
thing
on,
ever. But we're getting on to Freddie's waterbed. We digress weirdly at the start of this
Let's
show.
go,
every
let's
week.
go. Let's
All
get
right,
serious.
On to the footy. Anthony Griffin, he is the new coach from season 2021 at the St George Illawarra Dragons. Jeez, there's been some noise about this. The toing, the throwing, etc., etc. Is he, in both your opinions, the man for the job at the Dragons? Andrew?
Well, you look at his record, how many years he's coached first grade and how many of those years he's taken teams to the semi-finals. It's a really impressive record. I understand he's very old school, big on discipline. So why not? Give him a shot.
The impressive part I thought was when Dean Young came out and supported Anthony Griffin. Said he'd be great together. They must have worked together in some way.
Was it Tom? Have they
Yeah.
struck up a relationship there?
And, you know, they keep saying Fitzy's the long-term look for the Dragons. I feel like Dean Young's the long-term fit for the Dragons, and Anthony Griffin's here for that couple of years to bring him on. So, you know, whether it's Fitzy, Dean Young, or whoever it is in the future, I feel like not a bad appointment at all.
I love the noise that he's going to really concentrate on the young juniors coming through, set up all those pathways, which whether he had a huge impact, I think, Freddie know more at Penrith, setting up a lot of those pathways when he was
Yeah, him
there.
and Gus, they were all part of that, you know, when the Centre of Excellence sort of
So
came
it's
through.
a big area down there, Wollongong and right up to probably Cronulla, St George, that area, right down the south coast. Pick out the best players, the really talented young guys, and get them in systems and educate them up, and then find what position you're deficient in, and then go out and buy the best in that. So they've got to be a development club.
2-year deal for Anthony Griffin at the Dragons. He was let go by both the Broncos and the Panthers. Is 2 years just the new contract length for a coach in the NRL? Is that the right spot, or
He's
are they
so
factoring?
smart.
Yeah.
Well, if he's going well in 18 months' time, then you just keep extending him.
And, well,
Give
there's
him another 2 years.
There's an option for a third year in the club's favour. So is that cautious, or is that as
it's
Joey says,
smart.
smart?
Yeah, well, I just think too, and on the long contracts, so I think a lot of people go back to Justin Holbrook's contract, or whether it was 4 years or 5 years. Like, you know, as long as there's performance-based contracts, you know, the thing is who you're doing your contract for is the fans. You know, you're doing it for the fans in the club, no one else. You know, and as long as they're protected, then you know who cares how long the contract is. As long as it's performance-based and you know the relationship between the coach, the players, and the club is all still good, then just roll it on. But I think to protect the fans, as you've seen some clubs go through this year, is you just got to be always mindful that if things aren't going well, then you move on and find another coach.
What's a pass mark finally for the Dragons in 2021?
Semi-finals have got to be, at some stage, semi-finals have got to be the pass mark for all clubs.
Yep.
And I think when you go into a club and you sort of say, we need a roster change and we need to do this, you get 1 year, because that seems to be the standard line by all coaches now, is, it's a crap roster, we need a whole new roster.
We've got to win the tight games. That's the difference.
That's it, that's got
You've got to
nothing
win
with
the
roster.
tight
That's
games.
just mentality, isn't it?
And it comes down to your best players or your most creative players, which are your halves. Your halves have got to own the result. And when you're in those tight games, your number 7, your number 6, your number 9 have got to find a way for you to win. So that's the big challenge for the Dragons moving forward, whether their halves are Norman and Hunt or Clune.
I think he most would have worked with both of them, I'd say, back in Brisbane days.
It's interesting to see what he does with them. Hey, from one coaching scenario to another, the Bulldogs, obviously Trent Barrett, as we know, is destined to head there. Gus warned him on 100% footy on Monday night to reconsider the job because of the toxic infighting going on amongst the two boards there that could tear the club apart. Should he reconsider? He sounds like he's pretty hell-bent on going there and doing his thing.
No, diving, he would have learned a lot from Manly and dealing with the Seagulls board and people in charge there. So, mate, there's only so many coaching jobs around. At some stage, you've got to put your hand up and take it on. You know, he's a good fella, good coach. He works hard. So, who else is going to do it?
Do you think
Baz.
Is he going to have trouble recruiting players with those sort of headlines around about behind-the-scenes troubles at the club?
Well, I think at the moment the Bulldogs are coming last, so you're going to always have troubles recruiting players if you're coming last.
I think there's a halfback. He's definitely signed a half somewhere. And I haven't spoken to Trent about it at all, but he's let Kieran Foran go. They pretty much said he can move on. So
well, there's a lot of noise about Burden. You know, and is Burden going to sit at Penrith behind
But he's an
three halves?
inexperienced half. I just get the feeling they've signed an experienced half somewhere.
All right, let's get into our Fast Five, some juicy topics this week. Number one, first cap off the rank, the Raiders. Is this the final year, if a premiership window does exist, of a window for them? John Bateman leaving at the end of the year, Josh Papali's future up in the air.
No, he's signed again, Papali.
He's done,
Yeah.
he's there,
Yeah.
locked and
he's
loaded.
I never realised Bateman made that much of a difference to him, but
Unorthodox.
unorthodox, and everything else with them is so conventional. I think the way they play, especially their left side attack. So yeah, I think they're sort of they'll lose their time, but having no Hodgson here, Hodgson still gives you a bit of time, especially after having 12 months off, refresh your head more so than your body. So no, I don't necessarily think that this is the last year. I think there's another year or so in Papali especially. He's the key, I think.
We haven't seen any of their juniors because of what's gone on. We don't know how they're lower grades or who they're developing. So it's hard to really say. I say no. I think they've still got their window open.
Yeah.
All right, if you're Jake Clifford and you're at the Cowboys, are you considering, even with some time left at the club, on moving on and heading elsewhere, or are you staying put?
Move.
I think Michael Morgan should move to the centres. I think Michael Morgan's a fantastic player, great fella, good leader, but I don't think he's a half. I think he did a great job at fullback, and I think he'd be a great centre, and I think that's where his position is. I think Clifford's a better half than Michael Morgan.
Would you be getting out, Joey?
I think he should.
He's a
Jake
good player,
Clifford.
Clifford.
I think he'll get. I got a feeling he may get a Newcastle.
Right.
Yeah.
Clifford,
Yeah.
what was that? You heard something?
No, I haven't heard anything, but
Andrew,
I know
Your nose is
they're
going.
chasing. Yeah. Mate,
I smell a scoop here, Brad.
I did 4-unit lying at school.
extension
I'm
line.
impossible to beat. Boulder Dash, I was impossible to beat.
Brilliant. Third issue here to get stuck into. Kalen Ponga getting a rest this week for the Knights as they take on the Roosters. Is it the right week, Andrew, to be resting Kalen?
Well, they're thinking long term. I think they'll make the semi-finals. He got absolutely battered last week. He's been battered a few times. Broke the nose, so I think it's pretty smart to rest him up.
Absolutely. The Roosters are looking pretty primed this week.
Oh, the
So,
team looks good.
you know, it'd have to be the game of their lives, I think, to beat the Roosters. So I think it's a smart move.
Big conundrum for you, issue number 4, Brad, is the teams that don't feature in finals. There's going to be some players in amongst those that you'd be eyeing off for
Heaps
State of
of
Origin.
players, yeah.
Have you worked out a game plan yet in terms of, obviously there's bubble issues, fitness issues, etc., etc.?
Well, it's going to be up to the players to keep fit. If the players come into camp, I think we come into camp on the 19th. So if the players come into camp and they're unfit and they've been drinking for 2 weeks at home and eating food, then they won't get a game. So you know, the motivation's still got to be there and the drive. And if that's the case, then they're every chance because the players going right to the death. As we've seen this year, injuries aren't that hard to come by. So if you get chosen in that first group that come in, then you're a really good chance of playing.
Your best players, your best trainers, and your most disciplined. That won't be an issue.
Is that why you wouldn't be worried about Tommy Turbo, even despite his injury as well?
Yeah, not at all. And he looks like he won't be back this week, but a good chance next week or the week after. So Nathan Gibbs, who's the doctor at Manly, is also the doctor of the Blues. So he'll be our best guide there.
We've been robbed of the Warriors getting into finals footy. Got close
yet,
against
really.
the Eels. Mathematically, it's their differential is so poor compared to the other clubs that they need to try and get in front of. So,
But Cronulla need to win this week.
yes, just to lock it down.
Well, they need to beat the Warriors this week. If they don't,
Now, we'd love to see the Warriors there,
Yeah.
wouldn't we? What would you give up for a month if all of a sudden we can give them a ticket to the finals?
Well, you got here showering. I don't shower. I bath most of the time.
chocolate. I've sort of been on a little bit of a chocolate thing lately. I'll give up chocolate for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
I
big,
don't
big
do much in
sacrifice.
my life anymore. There's
There's
not
not
much.
much to give
There's not
up.
much else to give up.
What about throwing the leg?
I guess that's gone.
What about throwing the leg on yourself?
This one was always fraught with danger.
Showering. What about
38
what about
seconds to go.
showering? When he was coaching,
Yep.
he never had a hot shower.
Still not having
Never.
hot showers.
Like
Cold showers every night. Full cold.
depths of winter,
Full.
middle of June,
Full.
July.
Cuckoo.
Full.
Yeah. When's the last warm shower you had?
I was crook at the start of the year.
Oh.
I got pretty crook, and everyone thought it was COVID. Marie still thinks I've got COVID.
Oh, is this? Yeah.
And
right. You were crook.
I had a hot shower in there. I was as sick as I've can remember.
Wow.
I had a hot shower in there.
Dude, I'd give up veggies.
Yep.
I don't need veggies anyway.
Give up white bread.
White bread and Devon, no chance.
Oh, tomato sauce. Don't get me started. All right, let's get into some more footy, shall we? Boy, the fullbacks had some fun in round 17.
Here we go down the ground, and Ryan Pappenhausen gets an inside ball from Adokar to put the ball down. Jones on to Ponga, hat-trick time. Kale and Ponga, all fist pumping and clear tonight.
And here we go. Tuivasa-Sheck. What's he going to do? He stands Gunderson up. He takes off on the Blake. Blake gets in. He throws the pass. But it's got another one. You just stand and applaud. Now Gunderson. Nearly through them. He's got support. Fields there. Fields after a kick from Gunderson. Oh, yeah. How do you like that?
He throws wide. Flanagan, Tedesco, step away from Whiten. Kick there. Regather! James Tedesco has scored for the Roosters. James Tedesco may have emerged as the best player on the planet.
Freak, is there a more influential position now in a team than fullback?
Depends how you play. When you play those set plays with the fullback linking, they're so important. That's why you're seeing them all.
The way Teddy plays, he went to dummy half, gets it
Goes
from
everywhere.
first receiver now. But then on Pappenhausen, on the other hand, he was brilliant. He gets outside Munster, then gets it also one off the ruck. He plays a lot like Billy, but Teddy at the moment, he's everywhere.
Ponga's not too bad either.
He goes, all right.
What a player.
Well, hey, let's get into your top 5, Andrew, from round 17. What you got?
Okay, my number 5 is Fergo. Gets finally on the board. And have a look, he gets the ball in space. He's thinking about passing. He's like, I'm not passing. And then he goes and scores. Well done, Fergo. Look how happy he is. Sensational. Number 4, some of the Warriors' lead-up work here. Offloads. Just goes to show the skill. There's Chanel Tavita Harris is on the ground there. Live at number 7. Gets off the ground, gets the ball, throws a long ball. Doesn't sit there and watch. Keeps his legs moving. Gets behind the play. The ball will come back out here, spews out. Nikarima kicks. So he handled 3 or 4 times in that play. Got himself
It's incredible. I
player.
never noticed that.
really good player.
2 minutes 38 of bunkering.
Nofaluma, big chance of playing rep footy this year. And his comments I love. He said he should be playing semi-finals this year. He's putting himself out there. He's a great finisher, but he does that hard work coming out of trouble. He's a great dummy half runner. Really disappointed. You can see he's really disappointed over it. Some of the things. Kalen Ponga, well, we can just sit here and talk about him, just what a player he is. He's been playing so tough of late. He plays tough all the time. His ball playing, his running game, he just makes it look so easy. He copped a heap of knocks the other day.
What's this?
Bit of man love. Just look at the way he moves. He's only going to get better and better. Well done, Kalen. And number 1, Sonny Bill Williams coming back to the game. You know what I love about this? All the rugby union types jumping up and down about him coming back to our game and how much publicity he's made, how much interest. The ratings on this game was massive. You can see the effect he's having on the game, and he's only going to get better and better. So Good stuff, Sonny.
All right, from Joey's top five.
He
Your
was
team
buggered.
of the week, I want him to crack your team of the week by the end of the season.
Team of the week,
Bradley.
Sonny will be in it for sure, without a doubt. So I started with fullback Kalen Ponga. Nofaluma scored a couple of tries. Great to see Daniel Tubu back score that cracker over the top of Nick Kotrick. Adam Dewey got a couple, also his goal kicking. Peter Hickey, he's about my favourite player at the moment. He's absolutely awesome. Drinkwater set up a couple. Cleary just controlled it. Freddy Eighth made 66 tackles. About 20 of them were on Josh Papali, so he deserves a medal. Christian Welch, who's been in the form of his life. Leota, first time it's starting, I think, for a long time, and he's just like a tank. Like trying to tackle a tank, tackling Moses. Bateman on his try, brilliant. Firma, I love what he does at the Tide. He's a really handy player. He's playing centre this week. And then Fisher Harris ran for nearly 300 odd metres, and he's just a nasty, nasty person you like in your footy team. And just like Joey, Kalen Ponga, just some people it's better just to sit and watch.
He's
Look
one
how
of those.
gracefully slides around. I like the interaction with Mitchell. I love how he just has this little vague look every now and then. Cops one on the chin there, and then also gets belted by Chad Townsend.
Oh,
And
What was he thinking, man?
it's so weird, isn't it?
and just gets up and gets on with it. Very great attitude to his sport he has. Awesome to watch.
Freak of a player. Great performance too against the Sharkies and gets a little rest against the Roosters this weekend. Nice team of the week, Bradley. And
you.
your player of the week, as you can see there, the bruised, the battered Kalen Ponga. Look, on the back of Saturday night at Brookie, the Tigers storming home in the last 10 minutes to beat Manly. They're well and truly out of finals contention now. Joe, what does he do with his Seagulls side for next year?
Well, unfortunately, it's like when Turbo's not there, they're just a different team, both in attack, but also defensively. He saves so many. It's hard to put a read on it, what's happened there, but I'm sure Desi has a plan.
Defensively, they're poor.
Defensively, they're poor, and everyone says it's defence is about attitude, just getting in there and making your tackles. Have a look at the missed tackles. But why those missed tackles are there? Because players don't get to the threat quick enough. They dawdle to the threat. You see that the best teams and the best players, Melbourne, Roosters, for instance, their players sprint to a threat, so they get there in time to make their tackles. Attitude.
The saying, if you can walk, you can jog. If you can jog, you can run. If you can run, you can sprint. Sprint.
Tell you what, Josh Schuster, they've been talking about who the hell's going to partner DCE long term in the halves. They may have found their man. He's out for the rest of the year with syndesmosis on the back of his debut, but can play.
Well, he's a good player. He was the superstar coming through. He looks so fit. If you saw him as a kid, he would have been at least 5 or 6 kilos heavier. He's got incredible skills with his passing, and he's a lot more mobile than I reckon he was as a kid as well. I saw him, there was a period there in the second half where he just kept kicking. And that's something that the kids do so much, is they kick so much. He was at the other end of the field. I think he did 3 in a row, which, with experience, he'll get the better of that. But once he gets over his injury, he'll be there set forever.
Was it Benji that said, Joe, it's the best debut he'd seen from
Really?
a player in the NRL? He's
Wow, that's
high
a big
praise.
Yeah, I've seen him play in the lower grades, and it just, at times, it came so easy. It looked like he got bored out there. So it'll be a really good test moving forward for him. Freddie said he needs to work on his body and his fitness, but yeah, what a player.
He's
so
fit.
much talent.
He looks good. Like compared to, he was a different body shape when he played. We had him in, I think, the under-16s, and he won the game for us with a couple of passes that, like only Anthony Tupu, sort of those sort of skills where he just holds it in his hand and can flick it, and amazing skill level. So, yeah, and so he's worked hard. Good on him.
Pretty decent debut. Who's had the best debut this year, though? Andrew, Brad? Have you
Charlie
got-
Stones.
Charlie Staines.
4 tries.
And he had his mates there. Like the whole story,
Yeah, it was
like it's
too
just absolutely brilliant.
And they were there. They moved corners.
He was pointing to him there.
Lucky their breath didn't knock him over because they were on the syrup, the boys. Look at this. That's so good. I
Goes at
just
the
loved
other
it.
end.
He looks an unbelievable talent, great athlete. And then they moved to the other side of the ground and you could hear him screaming. He just keeps looking up at him. It's just so fun.
Oh, that was awesome.
And then ended up in hospital
Look
with
at him.
lockjaw and preaching COVID protocols. Look at him. Brilliant stuff. It's hard to go past
Although
that.
some of them are drinking mid-strength there. That's a worry.
Mate, Forbes boys, they'd be disguised as mixed drink.
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
have They'd be pouring stuff
They would have
into
made up for it later too. Don't worry about that. What about the greatest debut you've ever seen, Andrew?
I can remember Frederico's debut. I remember we went down and watched an Australian schoolboys game. He played the Pommies
That's right,
in
yeah,
Newcastle,
yeah.
and he carved them up. And then, was this later in the year?
Yeah.
He scored 2 tries in this game?
No, well, I said 2 up. People always think that I scored the tries, but
Okay.
I said a couple up.
Yeah, I think you burned Ellery here somewhere.
Yeah,
Look at that.
How old were you here?
17.
In the mud.
Look at Ellery.
Oh.
Look at Ellery. You're going to run away from Ellery. Yeah.
So
One of
good.
the great debuts.
What a day.
That's a ripper.
What a day.
Should we wheel out the highlights of the
Well,
eighth?
so the thing was, Joey's his proper debut, he scored 24 points against South. 23. And
Man of the match.
but like you had a couple off the bench, didn't you?
Yeah, it held me back for so long.
Yeah,
And I
you were
remember the coach saying, the longer we hold you back, the longer you're going to be there. So looking back now, it's the best thing for me, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. But it was the best thing they did, held me back. And I played a whole year in reserve grade.
Wow.
So playing against men
Yeah.
and reserve grade then, you're playing against guys who were international, Peter Jackson and those sort of
Yeah.
guys.
My first game, I played one reserve grade game, was against Joe Rapati, remember him?
Yeah.
He had legs. He was a Kiwi 5'8", I think, at this time. He was playing reserve grade for Manly. And, the way you come through there, it was a different game completely going back to reserve grade.
And you learned your trade because you could try things and make errors. And that's where you learn your game, out on the field. It's great to be at training and everything, but you learn your game out on the field and you learn from your mistakes you make. So it was a good grounding. So I was very lucky. I came through a time at the Knights where there was great coaching all the way through the grades.
I love that old jersey too.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
That's
Henny
a
Penny?
ripper.
Was it Henny Penny?
No, it was BP at that stage.
Was
I think.
it?
Yeah. And players play, you got a $50 petrol voucher,
Nice.
which I filled me a little penny race up
Could have
3
lasted a
times.
while. Back then, doesn't
Well,
get you half a tank now.
Gus used to give the $100 if you played the ball and scored the try. He'd give you $100. And that doesn't happen that often. It happened on the weekend.
I like
forget
that.
what it was,
Pappenhausen.
actually. Pappenhausen.
Yeah.
Played the ball and scored the try.
Cameron to Munster to Pappenhausen.
$100.
Jeez, been taking the fish off.
You have.
Memories back.
Speaking of Pappenhausen, it's time to look at the weekend footy here on 9, of course. Headlined by the Panthers and the Eels, first and third Friday night here on 9. The last time they met, back in round 5.
The battle of Western Sydney. It's the Panthers of Penrith up against the Eels of Parramatta. Junior Paulo comes back. And then away it's gone on from Cleary and then Aikens. It goes to ground. The corner is open. Tom goes over. Put it in the bag. Chance here. More than that. Mansour puts it over the line. There's Wonga Blake. He'll make it, Blake. Here we go. Wonga Blake again. A bend and an ankle tap. And it's gone away. Gutherson's gone over to score the try. Here's Moses. He puts a kick in for his backs. Blake is after it, and it's Madison who gets the try. Under 15 seconds of the game, and it's a sin bin. It's got to happen in one play. Now it's out the back to Cleary. Burton comes in. Here's Crichton with the ball. Gets the ball to ground. Burton sweeps it. Oh no! It's gone down to Coruscant. Come away to Mansour. Mansour is away from a would-be tackle by Lowe. He's put the ball down to kick it, I fancy. And that's the end of it. Parramatta are celebrating in what you would have to call a spine-tingling finish. What a wonderful match to watch.
Wow, the last time the Panthers lost a match in 2020, they only lost one and that was it. So, cracking match. More on it shortly. It all starts though with Macca's Thursday night footy here on 9. The Tigers and the Rabbitohs going head to head. Bit doing it, the Tigers, Joe. They win the match, but all the talk has been about Josh Reynolds and Russell Packer bailing out at half-time and heading home. These sort of leaks, like Gal's convinced that it came from within the club. Does that just show where they're at the moment? Compare it to something, I guess, like the Roosters grand final build up a couple of years back and the Cronk injury, would he or wouldn't he play?
Well, the best clubs, nothing comes out. Once you're in the sheds and the coach speaks to you about things, and he usually says what's said in here stays in here. The best clubs and the stronger clubs, nothing comes out. Remember a couple of weeks ago they were saying that they're walking on eggshells and that got out. And now this gets out. I can remember when I came through at Newcastle playing under 21s, and the rule was even if you played under 21s, you were not to leave the ground till full time of first grade. Everyone had to go back to after-match presentation. That were just the rules. So I can't believe they left at half-time.
What was the famous American football coach, Lombardi?
Yeah.
So he had a rule: what you say here or what you hear here stays here when you leave here. Like, you know, if you have to say that, if you've got managers or players out there spruiking different things that happen in the club, you're at the wrong club. It's too hard. Like, the battle is too hard. So at the moment, they're facing a lot of battles, the Tigers, and they put it down the roster, but it's that wonderful word, culture. Okay, culture, and it's in culture training.
It feels like it at the moment.
Yeah.
You talk about the roster. Josh Adokar reportedly offered a multi-million-dollar deal to come in as a fullback, Brad.
Oh, I love how they entertain the positional stuff. If he doesn't do good at fullback, he'll be an awesome winger. Oh, I love Josh Adokar. I hope he gets a chance at fullback. I don't think it'd be beyond him. He seems to be able to do most things. His speed's going to be obviously a great asset.
What
but
about
I
his
think
speed, endurance?
I think
his
he passed. If you looked at the tries on the weekend, twice he set up around the back and then also passed before the line to set up tries. So you're right, there's a whole different fitness that goes with it, but he doesn't look unfit. Put it that way. I don't think it'll be a problem. Whether he becomes one of the great fullbacks, who knows? But
Depends how they play too.
Yeah.
They play a really structured sort of play. It might be difficult, but if they just have him on the ball and they just play eyes up footy, how's that one? Play at a dummy half and quick play the balls. He could be devastating. But I still think he's a world-class finisher.
yeah, absolutely.
Wing
Without
is
a doubt.
so important, the way teams play now.
Be interesting how much fullback he played. Like, look at someone like Pappenhausen, who's pretty much been a fullback his whole life. You know, coming through as a kid, he played through all the junior reps, played fullback. You know, to go from if you've played wing your whole life, you know, there's a lot of just those intricacies of just the stuff that you learn over, you know, decades of playing one position that might take time.
They've got one hell of a winger in David Nofaluma already, the Tigers. He's making a lot of noise for you, Brad.
Yeah, he just kills it. Like, just the way he finishes, it brings the ball back. You get nervous. No one really goes over the top of you. You don't see that many people kicking over him. I do get nervous about the right side defence of the Tigers as one of the worst in the competition. So, you know, there's mostly areas there where he could look to improve, but in attack, he's been mostly the best. He's been brilliant.
Does all the tough work. He's a strong dummy half runner, which is origin footy. What about that defence?
You know what he does good? When he skips across, he doesn't care about even going backwards sometimes or skip further. Like, some people sort of go across one plane and think, I need to straighten up here. Well, he just keeps going to where space is. And if you've got the other side of the field watching out for that, it's so dangerous. So I love the way he just gets across and he beats that many tackles. So in a good side, you know, if you had your other centres and wingers looking out for him, it becomes a dangerous run.
You both love Cody Walker and the way he plays. What's he got to do between now and Origin time, I guess, to kind of keep himself in the frame for a position?
Just keep playing consistent,
Yeah.
which he is. Every time he goes on the field the last 3-4
Look at
weeks,
that.
he's the best player on the field.
That's my favourite play of the year, I reckon, that line.
But he's got number 6 on, but he's one of those natural players. You look up and there's space, he'll take him on. There was a try last week against Melbourne where he just looked up and saw space, took him on. And they're at their best when Reynolds and Cody play together. When Reynolds passes the ball to Cody, look, he just knows space, knows when to hit a hole, knows when to hang back and ball play. He's just a natural footy player. I love watching him play. Probably my favourite player to watch at the moment.
Laurie Daly was like that. So that try he scored against Melbourne, like, there was Pappenhausen to beat, but other blokes were sort of grabbing him. Welch was there and a few others. Like, Loz was like that. Loz had beat 3 blokes that thought they could get him, but he knew that they weren't going to get him. Like, they'd all be just going like that, just reaching out, trying to grab him. It's like that with Cody. Like, so many times you see him in space that blokes think they've got him, but he just knows.
Good sign for the Bunnies that Alex Johnston's happy to sign for less money to
Oh,
stick
how good is
around.
that?
That's massive news.
Yeah, that would have been devastating if he was to leave. I remember interviewing him after that game when they played the Dragons after the game, as what it said. And you could see he was devastated. He's from a local junior. I followed the team growing up. I won a comp here. So well done to South Sydney. Well done to Alex for taking maybe less and staying there. I hope he plays
Just
his...
getting it done.
I hope he plays his... Same as the Fox, Adokar. He's one of the best finishers in the world. If there's a try there to be scored, he scores it.
Hey, let's get to... should we do your tip on it? or should we save it for your actual tips and we can just tease it out so everyone can jump over there and watch it? What do you want to do, Brad? You going to give a tip here? Rabbitohs, okay. Do it. Done.
Are you waiting?
Bunnies.
Bunnies. Done. Clean sweep. Hey, let's get to the big one. This will be a beauty. Panthers and the Eels. Now, Parramatta, they've named Reid Marnie. Named Reid Marnie despite that shoulder injury on the weekend. Will he play?
Well, AC joints, you can play with them. You can get them injected. So whether he plays, I'd say he'll definitely play with injections.
What are the ones where you get the stingers?
No, that's your neck, coming from your neck, and that's nerve. AC is the one that sits up on top. You know when you rub your shoulder and you got that knot at the top? When you do your AC, it sticks up a little bit further. So you can actually needle it. As you can see, he's rubbing it there. So as long... So
Papali's done the same.
Structurally, there's no worries about structurally dislocating it or anything like that. It's just, if you can deaden the pain around that area, then you're fine. It goes from being like that, and it sits right up. Don't.
I didn't say nothing, mate.
I was reading your mind.
Is it a matter of no Reid Marnie, no chance against the Panthers? How crucial is he for this back end of the year, Brad?
Against the Panthers, I think you need to be your best. His service is pretty good, pretty special. Ray Stone's a tough bloke. He'll do a great job. I think over the whole game it'll fade away a little bit, his passing, but I think to beat the Panthers at the moment, you need to be at your best. And his service out of dummy half is imperative for them to be their best.
Quick turnaround for the Parramatta too. They go Sunday to Friday. So big ask.
Right.
At Penrith.
Saw a headline, Nathan Cleary, best player in the league. Is he at the moment?
At the moment.
Jelly? Brad?
Well, he's definitely the best half. Whether he's the most influential player, I like in this game and the last couple of weeks, things haven't gone their way, but he hasn't panicked. And he's got them back into the game with his kicking game. He's really taken ownership of the team. Now James Maloney's gone. I love this player where he drifts from left to right and he's got that show and go. He's got a few teams like that. He's been getting across the field, doing these shows and straightening up. Yeah, he's starting to get the peak of his powers. He's only going to get better and better and better. And he's looking at the defence. He's reacting to the defence. Defensively, he's strong.
He's one of the real first players that's come through as a pure professional, you know, where clubs are right up to scale on their rehab, their prehab, their mental sides of things, their everything. You know, like, and that's, you know, if you're focused and you can handle it, which is pretty hard, you know, you might be able to have the attention to detail that Nathan has. And he's been absolutely brilliant this year. I think, he's been the best. He's controlled his team. His team, the worst they've been is an 8 out of 10. I think there's a couple of errors that have snuck into their game the last couple of weeks, early on in the game. But, mate, they're resilient. And with his kicking game, well, you'd pay attention to his kicking game. It seems like his kicking game, he seems to come up with the right kick a lot.
We see there's two kickers in particular. There's Nathan and there's Adam Reynolds. And they get the ball, they know what kick they're going to do. But if they get pressured, they can easily go to option 2 and option 3 and they get it done. They can adjust their angles. Adam Reynolds is brilliant at it. If he gets chased different directions, he can change the way he's going to kick and then contort his foot and the way he hits the ball to get into space. And Nathan's the same.
Do you reckon it's because of our field's the same? Like, 'cause they've got little legs, they've got less room for error, so they only have to drop the ball about that far.
Maybe. Yeah, I know.
This guy's...
Yeah.
You got quite a long torso.
I know. Poor Alice got the same. Long torso, stumpy legs.
Not a hurdler.
No.
Panthers and Panthers?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you got Panthers?
Yeah.
All right, Panthers and
Alrighty. And then 9 Sunday with the Cowboys visiting the Storm on the Sunshine Coast. Is this the weekend that you mentioned earlier, put Michael Morgan in the centres? Would you do it now? Try and change things up?
Is he playing Michael Morgan?
Well, let me do some Googling.
I don't think he is. I thought he injured himself.
I'd have
He's
Morgan
cut.
at 5'8", but I have him as a running 5'8", and Jake Clifford doing all the ball playing.
And where would you have
I don't think
Drinkwater?
he'll...
Fullback?
I don't know, floating around.
Well,
Yeah, fullback.
He was a difference, Drinkwater on the weekend. Val Holmes, I thought, looked a bit better at fullback.
Put him at wing and let him roam. And just don't lock them all in.
No
I
more
like the young
more
guy, the Hammer. They've got some great players. Is it Arcee, who we saw debut against Penrith?
Yeah.
He's got class. So they've got some players coming through. I think Todd Payton's got some players really to work with there, but Jay Clifford, I don't think he'll be there next year. I think he'll be leaving.
Wow.
Scoop.
He's definitely got the scoop. Definitely. You heard it
Mate.
here first. I'm Freddy the Eighth.
throwing it
What's the
out there.
date today?
9th of the 9th.
It is.
Yeah.
9th of the 9th. He has had his fish oil.
No, it's the son's 21st today.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday, Samuel.
Happy birthday, Samuel.
Great stuff.
Getting old.
Now, we saw this article.
21.
Bizarre.
All right.
Things go quickly. Mindfulness. The Panthers, Brad. This is right up your alley. They've been doing breathing exercises to remain calm. You want to take us through sort of what would they be doing?
Well, and Joey Byrne is surfing. I've seen Joey surf like in big surf. So, any sort of breathing is really about just getting control and staying calm. And there's so many different ways you can do breathing. There's sort of 6-second breathing where you just, in for 6, out for 6. And then I remember speaking to Mark Donaldson, the soldier,
VC.
and he spoke about they do 4-second where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and out for 4. And it's just all different ways. Wim Hof's got some really good ones where you practice your breath holds. And I just noticed actually an Austrian broke his record about 8 minutes in an ice bath. So that's the best way to get, you do all starts with your carbon dioxide. You watch Sonny here doing some breathing. And Nam Baldwin, who does breathing with the Roosters, does it with Start of Origin. There's going to be a clip at the end of this where you can go and check out and try some of the stuff that you see Sonny doing. And when you're breathing through your nostrils there, what you're doing is you're just clearing your head out for 1 and just your, what is it? I was just writing it down. You stimulate like your nervous system. So it just puts you in a nice space to go out and compete where you just do 4 either hand, just like.
You there blow your nose before you do this.
And you do that. It just stimulates all different parts of your brain. So there's all different ways you can do breathing, but at the base of it is, like Joey used in the surf, is to be in control.
And relax.
When under pressure and relax.
Yeah.
Don't panic. Your body's got minutes of breath. Minutes. So I did my breathing this morning. I don't normally do it in the morning. So I do 4 breaths after 30 lots of cycles. So like that. You should do it through your nose. And your belly's the key. You get your best breath out of your belly, not your chest. So if you put your hand on your belly, when you watch a baby breathe, you watch their belly go up and down. So you get your best breath out of your belly. And then you hold it at the end of 30 breaths. And my average this morning was 2 minutes 40. So that's been nearly my highest. So
Long time.
yeah, well,
What's
once
that
you're
guy that
allowed.
does that show Body Hack? What's his name?
Todd Sampson.
Todd Sampson. I saw he did an episode where he went to this place, maybe up around Papua New Guinea, up in the Micronesia area, right up, and they have divers who go down with no mask, maybe a mask, but no snorkeling. They go down and they stay on the bottom of the floor for like 5 or 6 minutes. But that's the same breathing. They don't breathe in when they go out. They breathe out, but they store.
So you're clear. So Nam Baldwin, you can on the end of this podcast, you can check it out. Then Nam Baldwin's going to take you through some breathing, how to deal with fight and flight. And that's something a little bit different. That's why a lot of the Roosters do that. And Wim Hof's the other bloke. Go and check him out. He's just a freak.
Yeah, sounds
some
like
of the things he's done. But anyway, breathing's at the base of everything.
So we're going to put the video up on our social and YouTube channels, so you'll be able to find it on there. And
A mate of mine was
Get in the
surfing
zone.
in Hawaii, and before he went away, he was doing some sessions with Nam
Yeah.
on the Goldie. He said it saved his life. He said he was down there, he got 2-wave hold down. He said he knew it after the first one he wasn't going to come up. And he said normally he would have just panicked and freaked out. He just went, right, I've done this. And then came up after the 2 and just got washed up on the shore.
Origin
And I'm
used to
sure
go
he would
under
have went in
and fight each other under the water, like exactly what happens in surfing. So you go under and you fight each other, and you got to hold yourself down for 40 seconds under the water and fighting. And amongst that, stay controlled and be relaxed. And it's hard when you fight; you just go for their throat. Get me out.
any predictions for the weekend, you two? No.
And the Panthers will breathe their way through another victory
you
against
go.
the Eels.
Sonny Bill to get a try.
Oh, nice. Okay, good stuff. We're done. Thanks,
And Peter
fellas.
Fitzsimons to be crying when he does.
Has he been back in Sonny?
He wasn't impressed with what he saw. No, he wasn't. Wasn't impressed at all.
What with his effort? Sonny's. He killed it. Oh, killed it. I'm not sure what he's asking for.
He can critique rugby league so well, Fitzy. Such a rugby league person.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah.
Andrew, Brad, lovely chat as always. That is it for Freddy the Eighth. We look forward to your company, of course, next week here on the show. And don't forget the footy starting with the Tigers and the Rabbitohs right here on 9. Bye-bye.